And welcome to another Bankless Card Weekly. We have and just in case you don't know, our weekly tactical meeting is just the time that we used to sync up on work going around our organization. And we're going to try to prioritize that work, eliminate blockers, and just make sure that everyone who wants to work has something that is helping push us closer to our mission. Looking at our top level metrics, which hopefully will change next week. Knock on wood, no promises, but something we're going to discuss today. We have 1151 pre-launch emails. That is more than last week, although I guess I forget how much more. Let's just take a peek here. Last week it was 1087, so 1151. Oh, that's quite an increase. That's 13 plus 51, 64. So that's plus 64. Not bad. Now we're really cooking with gas. And I think that the Gnosis campaign had a lot to do with that. And 27 pitches performed, no pitches that I did last week. You can see our workstream metrics here. And Reyes, did you spend at least 5 hours on Bankless Card?
I did spend, I did spend almost 5 hours.
Nice.
Almost.
Nice. And on the governance side, no pitches performed, but we did move the Panama Foundation, which I'll talk a little bit further down. On the partnership side, 2 more survey responses and 49 Gnosis card giveaway submissions. Love it. And I see that you did spend 5 hours a week on Bankless Card, so that's nice. Hazu, I'm supposed to be meeting her today, but I'm not sure where she is right now. In terms of user test round 2 last week, we also didn't get, we got 55. So hopefully we are moving forward on that front. And on the team-wide announcements, update the playbook. I did see that some people left some comments already. Amazing. I love that. It is a long document, but I have been updating it as we go. Coffee Crusher, I see unmuted. Did you have something to say?
Oh, no. I was just going to say there were some of the comments. When I got to the bottom, I realized that you had covered part of it, so I'm going to edit part of them because you would address like the go-to-market strategy, which
I was struggling a little bit with the organization, so if you have some comments on how I could/should organize, feel free to drop those as well, or we can talk about it in DM or Sync or whatever. Okay. The intent behind that strategy document is just to have a common place where you can look for stuff related to our strategy as we go. And I did kind of switch it around based on the fact that I think that in terms of validation, we're doing pretty well. And if there's a little drawing that I used to put up during our retrospectives of where we were in the product development process. That is now in the playbook. So we're kind of I wouldn't say we're through the validation process, but I'm sufficiently convinced that this could work, and I think most people are too. But now our next step is convincing people outside the team as well, and that is more of a communication thing more than anything else. Also wanted to mention that our first 2 recorded meets are on YouTube now. Thanks, Winverse and Tundi Turner. Appreciate that. And we're going to work this week to put up a proposal in our BCard governance to get you guys paid on the regular for the work that you guys are doing. So I really appreciate that. And everyone, fill in that new contributor sign-up form. I haven't checked since last week, but anyone who is getting paid by Bankless Card, it really helps me to have your wallet address. And if you want access to Asana and our Google Docs and everything like that, that is what that contributor sign-up form is for. So please do give it a look and fill it in. It takes less than a minute. In terms of new contributor intros, I don't think we have anyone. Unless, Tundi Turner, I know you're here recording the meeting, but if you want to introduce yourself, feel free.
Can anybody hear me?
Hey, Tandy, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm Cindy Turner.
I can't hear you. I'm not sure. Maybe
you can't hear me.
Maybe your mic's not working.
Oops.
Or maybe I'm rugged. Okay. Well, anyways, we do appreciate having you here, Tandy. I know you're recording the meeting as well, so appreciate it. And if you do want to introduce yourself, feel free to do it in the chat channel as well. From a milestone perspective, we'll go down on the strategy side. The playbook draft is out, as I mentioned. One of the things that I need to kind of finish it is to talk about some of our top level metrics, and they're going to be related to our progress towards crowdfunding, which is a discussion item a little bit further down. So we'll work on that together. Next step, I got to break down those milestones and update Asana based upon some of these top-down directives that we're going to be working on. On the crowdfunding side, started the strategy. I mean, it's really thin right now. It's a few bullet points, but it is started, and we're going to discuss it today to help us flesh it out a little bit more. And I'm really glad that you're here, Coffee Crusher, because that's going to help as we go through. Grants, Optimism Retro PGF. I have a meeting with Hazu today to discuss this, and she's also going to set up a meeting with someone at Optimism. Apparently, Taxman is exactly what they are looking for. So Tom Tramner, very prescient of you to add Optimism support. And I think Taxman is something that I have a little bit more time to work on as well. So hopefully we can get this Retro PGF funding. In case you don't know what that means, Retro PGF is Retro Public Goods Funding. And Taxman is a free resource to DAO contributors to help them do their taxes. So having Optimism Retro PGF will really help us. And SafeDAO grants. While I had some news around SafeDAO, we can still apply for grants, but I would say that we've lost a little bit of our edge there. That being said, I still think that it's worth applying, and I think that we have NF Thinker. Are you still working on this? I'm not quite sure.
Which one was that? On the
SafeDAO grant.
SafeDAO. No, I had actually created a page for that in the Notion where I was filling out some answers. But I did not actually apply for this yet. I better check actually when the deadline is because it should be coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot. And while I have you on a thinker, maybe you can tell me a little bit about the go-to-market strategy on the partnership side.
Go-to-market strategy, as we discussed before, is kind of revolving around small, medium DAOs and looking into a partnership with Aragon. I have reached out to Anthony, who I interviewed there in Barcelona, and haven't heard back from him yet. But we're going to be posting an interview from Global Events soon and tagging him there. So hopefully that will spark up that conversation again. That would allow us to offer Bankless Card directly to any DAO who is creating their structure through Aragon. And we could also obviously scale that out to other DAO platforms as well. Kind of leaning into that really, I guess. Figuring out how to partner with as many DAOs as possible. And then obviously trying to understand what the profit model looks like around that for every for them and for Bankless Card, et cetera, et cetera. So the financials, I think, are still kind of holding things back a little bit because we're not really sure with the pivot of Gnosis, the Gnosis Pay system, what financials are really going to look like. So until we know that, we don't really know what we can offer our partners. So that's still a little bit of a kind of an unknown.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can use our old numbers for now and just say that this may change. But our old numbers are using a 0.85% interchange fee, which you can use.
Mm-hmm. I think it would also be good to break down like what a community of 1,000 people what impact that would have using Bankless Card.
We do have unit economics in the playbook as well. So you can check those out too if you like. Ultimately, It's like a 50% split between us and the thing, but let's talk about it at the ops meeting a little bit more.
Okay.
Speaking of Gnosis Pay, we're waiting on some docs from them, aren't we?
Yeah, I reached out to Mattia yesterday, and I haven't heard back from him yet. So hopefully he'll get back to us on that.
Nice.
They're currently doing their launch. Obviously, it's been a week. It's been about 10 days since they launched, 9 days. And so far, so good. I haven't really been following the news around the launch, but the marketing campaigns have been going out. There's a Telegram group that's been set up between the Gnosis Pay team and all the different partners. And yeah, it's interesting to see all the different organizations they're partnering with. In terms of our marketing campaign with them, I'm not sure if you're ready to touch on that yet or not, but let me know when you are.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention before we move on to that is that Lord Elvec has also connected us with two more US-based partners that we could use to issue cards in the States, and these are also cards. These are also partners that we could connect with Gnosis. We'll see. We're meeting them next week. I have to sort out the actual dates and times today. And I think I'm going to reach out to you and bug you. Actually, I may as well just talk to you at the ops meet right after this about that. And then we can move on to the communication side, or marketing, if you want to call it that. Rainus, how's this going?
Progressing very, very well. This week we have plus 64 emails, mostly due to the Gnosis campaign, which when I checked, has brought in 49 new emails. But I think 4 of those were us testing the funnel, so it's more like 45. But anyway, the campaign is going. We just yesterday posted Andy's video, and we have an interview with Stefan that we will post on our YouTube channel. And I will repurpose that interview into short clips that we can post on our Twitter as well, so we can milk this Gnosis partnership for a bit more, because at the start, the responses weren't so huge because everybody was posting about Gnosis and the Gnosis card and the giveaway. Now that most of the people have closed their giveaways, in my opinion, I think we can afford to leave our giveaway a bit more open to get a bit more traction because of the extra content that we have. That I don't think anyone else has an interview with Stefan of the launch partners. So this week we're doing a bit more milking.
Nice. And anything else you wanted to add, NF Thinker, on this?
No, I'm really looking forward to that interview coming out. It went really well. The timing was really tight. We had 1 hour to use that room, and Stefan was running late. We had Anthony from Aragon, and we also had Francesco from MetaMask, and the times just got totally mixed up, but we were able to get all 3 interviews in and get out of the room just in time. Really pleased that we got all those interviews there at in that space, very short space of time. We can definitely milk that content, and just keep pulling the thread of the Gnosis Pay partnership, because there's a huge opportunity there. In terms of the marketing, they're different partners. If anybody is interested in getting involved in the marketing channels, I can add you to the Gnosis Pay announcement Telegram. I don't know, Coffee Crusher, maybe you were interested in getting more involved in the marketing side of things. But Rainus is in there, I believe. I think Links, you're in there as well.
Indeed.
And yeah, so it's good to follow along.
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Okay, well, I'll add you in, Coffee Crusher.
Coffee Crusher already won a Gnosis gift card, actually.
Yeah, super excited. That was a shock. I didn't win anything.
That was the first time, right?
Yeah. I never win anything. Yes, NFT Thinker. I would love to be on that Telegram group.
Nice. Also,
Coffee, we gotta meet up sometime soon about that. Overall go-to-market strategy document that we wanted to create a while back. I've just been on many filming works and I haven't had the time to sit down and flush this out.
No worries. I knew you were in the middle of stuff, so I don't know if you want me to ping you, or do you want to ping me kind of when you're
let's ping each other.
Okay, that sounds good.
Ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
Coffee Crusher, I'm gonna say you do the pinging, because I think that you. I'd like to put the ball in your hands here.
Yep, got it. I will do it.
Awesome. And I also wanted to mention Fabian posted 2 docs that are ready for editing, that are 2 articles that he wrote in Spanish for Bankless Nation, and he translated them to English. So I'm going to go in there and edit at some point. Unless anyone else feels like editing, we will talk about it during our tactical part of the meeting as we get a little bit further into the Asana stuff. Looking at the Panama Foundation, we are now officially registered in Panama. So this is big news. We have our registration docs and everything. I uploaded them into our Google Drive. I updated our Notion a little bit. So we are officially registered as an ownerless foundation in Panama, which is a huge milestone. It actually unlocks a bunch of potential things for us, including we could potentially release a token if we wanted. In our crowdfunding as well, if we wanted to release NFTs, tokens, anything like that, having this Panama Foundation is going to protect all of us from kind of like legal liability. So I think that it is a really big milestone for us. And I'm really happy that happened last week. So that is news, but the process isn't done. We actually have to go through, they drafted a bunch of bylaws based upon conversations that we had and questions that they asked. And I need to today go through those bylaws and make sure that they conform with our governance. And also because we're going to have some, all of this is off-chain governance, but we're going to have some, I guess, like token-based governance. And I want to extract the token-based stuff from the like stuff that needs to be registered by Panama and everything. There are like a couple of levels of change that we're dealing with when we have a foundation. There is the foundation, there's like the foundation articles, which you have to pay, like, let's say $1,000 every time you want to change them. So if we're changing something like who's on the council or who the project champion is, we're going to have to pay to get that changed. And then there are our bylaws, which we have to register with the Panama government, and that costs something like $500. So this is going to be stuff around like our quorum requirements and everything like that potentially. And then finally, we'll have our internal governance. And I'm hoping that the bylaws and the internal governance can be, hopefully work in concert. And ultimately, that is stuff that we don't have to pay to change. And we want to, especially as we're kind of early in this governance process, we want to make sure that we're able to change that quickly. So I want to make sure that we understand where the breaks are between the articles and the bylaws and our internal governance and everything like that. Anyways, all this to say there's still some work to do around that, but a huge milestone has been completed, and I think that's something that we should celebrate. So yes, amazing. I'm super happy about that.
Links, I just wanted to say congratulations. I unmuted earlier just to say congratulations, but I just wanted to squeeze it in there that great work on that forward momentum and progress, because I know that has been on your list on a long time and has been in the offing for getting us moving, and I appreciate all your efforts there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. So how can we make our system extremely easy to use? I will poke Hazu later today to get an update on this, unless anyone here, I don't think anyone here is on the user testing team. But why don't we move on down to our task perspective in Asana. I gotta duplicate this, and as I wait for this, what week is it? Of course, I always forget this. ISO week 30. Ooh, week 30, nice. Okay. Update the financials with the Gnosis Pay numbers. Actually, I'm kind of blocked on this. We're waiting for, so I will add this to myself, but blocked on the LOI from Gnosis Pay. Okay. So I'm going to comment there. Update and share strategy docs. Actually, well, I don't know. I am getting feedback right now, so I'll leave it in here. Gathering feedback now. In-person Web3 UX panel. I'm sure if Hazu did this, I will ask her today. Create a foundation. This is going, so we got incorporated. Woohoo! Next, it's on my plate, so I'll put it into this week. File the foundational act and the bylaws. These are the 2 things I was talking about. So these are the next up for that. ETH Barcelona, this just needs to be paid. Is that right? And a thinker, I need you to add the accounting so we can pay those contributors.
Yes, sorry, got to do that. Okay, I'll do that now.
Yeah, I'm hoping to run a payroll this week So I would love if you're able to get those numbers. And I also want to make sure that for Winverse and Tundi, Winverse, this is to you. We can talk about it later today. I'll just put this up here, but ensure that weekly meeting. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think we already have a task for this. So maybe not. I thought we had one here. Oh, here we go. Reach out to AV Guild to record Bankless Card meetings. So this just needs to get paid. So I just need to add this to here, to the accounting. And so created the Bankless Card YouTube channel, uploaded our meetings, and now I just need to understand Winverse. Well, let's just say create a proposal in BCard governance to get paid on the regular. Okay. So I'll work with you to get that done. And it's in the accounting inbox. So I will remember as I try to run payroll. So we have create a foundation, Ibanera. Yeah, okay, just make sure this is done. As well, another thing that needs to get paid actually is the banner for the contributor sign-up sheet. So this is something that TrueCat did for us, and I will put it into the accounting as well, so I remember. TrueCat did it. Ensure she gets paid. All right, there we go. All right, and anything else that anyone has done, I just want to remind everyone, anyone here can post a proposal in BCard governance and just propose that someone gets paid. We have two ways to pay people, in bank and BCard. You automatically get the amount of bank in BCard. That's kind of our native token, which does not yet exist. If it's a little bit confusing, which I understand it is, feel free to DM me about this. Any work you do is eligible to be paid, right? So that's, and by paid, I mean you get paid in our governance token, in both Bankless governance token and the Bankless Card governance token. So, if you're contributing, make sure that you're getting governance rights. I think that that's really, really important, because ultimately the reason why at least the reason why I'm here in crypto is to create the next generation organization. And I want to make sure that all stakeholders are taken into account. And so that means that you should be getting governance right for all the things that you are contributing. So just something to note. And if you are confused about that or you don't know how, don't be shy to DM me. Don't be shy to mention it in the BCard general channel. Totally fine. Anywho, to create a foundation, already mentioned this. Ibanera, this is one of our US partners. We're going to be meeting them next week. So I just need to book a meet with them. I will sort that out with you and a thinker today. How crypto cards make money. How are you doing on this, Coffee Crusher?
Sorry, I was trying to do something else. I'm struggling a little bit. I've got to do a little. I think just more of the research, and actually that the playbook helped me a lot when I read that last night, just to sort of understand the differences between the different cards and why they're different. Meaning like why they're different and what the benefits for are using our card is. And so I'm sort of wrapping my head around that.
Yeah, perfect. And I think that it is a confusing industry as well, and there have been a lot of changes since that last kind of research was done. So if you want to have a sync on this, because ultimately this is an article that is meant to be like one of our pillar articles that we can kind of explain the crypto card industry, feel free. We can have a voice sync or something like that where we can talk about it, because it is a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, I'll ping you, because I know today's your day where you're available via chat.
Turns out I'm available most days now, so.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it.
All right. Website V2, this is out. There are some bugs. I'm hoping to work on this a little bit as we go. Kind of website and taxman is something that we need to discuss, but since I want to discuss a little bit more today, I'm going to try to go over this a little faster. Optimism Retro PGF, as I said, there's a meeting that I will have with Hazu today, so we'll talk about it. I was sick last week. Safe DAO grants, NF Thinker, we already spoke about this. there's an expression of interest that we need to submit, and create a demo app using the no-code solution. So Ajax has done quite well. He did a little bit of work on understanding what could be done with this. I would say that this is a distant third. It's going to be website and taxman first that we want to refine, and then we might do like a no-code governance solution. So if you're interested in creating an app that is hopefully a no-code app. I think there may be a little bit of code required, but mainly a no-code app, which the basic idea is enter your wallet as a read-only connection and get notifications when a new governance proposal is pushed to Snapshot. That is kind of the baseline functionality of the app. If you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to me or Lil Boho, as he's known on Discord, and we'll get you set up. So we already had a meeting on this. Jacksonite, and you put the meeting notes in Notion. All right. Great way to set the date range. Tom Chandler, I think I owe you a review on this.
Yep, and I owed you a deploy that I had realized was sitting on my machine waiting for review. So I just pushed that out to GitHub today. You should be able to take a peek on those UI improvements. I just wanted to mention that the solution is in principle complete, with the blocker being that API rate limiting factor that we have. I wanted to know if people had a chance they could sort of jump on and test the current system and provide you with a couple of wallet addresses that have transactions sort of in that outside the past 1 year time frame that I could use as test cases, so that I could use to see that when I am doing my sort of fancy fallback programming tricks for API access, that I'm getting the right data, or at least getting reasonable data to send along to the users.
Awesome. Yeah, I have you can use my 2 wallet addresses, which I can send you in DM as well.
Yeah, cool.
I will be testing it myself as well. So you know, if someone else wants to give it, is it on taxman.banklesscard.xyz, or is it on like a Vercel GitHub thing?
Oh, so just the main deploy is still currently at Taxman XYZ, but the fork is not. I currently have a live deployment. Later this afternoon, I'll jump home and I'll put one up maybe at justplay.cafe.
Awesome. So excited to see that, and that will help us do taxes for other years and in other countries. So that's really exciting for Taxman. BCard ambassadors, how are we doing on this, Rainis?
We have 2 ambassadors in testing mode. So Fabian Crypto is creating content for the Nacion Bankless in Spanish about BCard, and I will send him a landing page link very, very soon. And Bobo said that he will contact Bankless Africa. He hasn't gotten back to me yet about their answer, if there is any. But yeah, we have two people, 2 Bankless ambassadors working in different international media nodes for now. And Fabian is documenting all of the tasks that he has to do, so we can properly work out the compensation system.
Amazing.
Of this initiative.
Awesome. And Helix.im, how are you doing here? NF Thinker.
I actually got stuck on the ticketing channels, and I meant to message Ashu, but I didn't actually. I didn't get back in touch with him. We had a brief meeting, and after that, I've created a channel which can be viewed if you're. I think only if you're at level 2. It's in the general category, and it says Helix Chatbot. Level 2 contributors can see that. So I need to basically link that and then figure out what's going on with the ticketing channels. So have I added you as an admin as well already, Links?
Yes, I believe I am an admin on there. I think, yes, I believe so. So I haven't logged in since then, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's something we can either check out together, or I can continue trying to figure out the best way to implement that. But as soon as that's connected, then we can start testing it. So yeah, I really need to get onto that.
Well, we'll talk about it at our Ops Weekly as well. And the World Needs Communities, honestly, I have not been working on this article. I'm going to put it in next up because I have a bunch of other things on my mind. And then you're the second person to mention this to me, and I think are customer journey maps. This is something that both you and Lord Elvic were interested in seeing, I guess, but I don't know if you're interested in it's something I think that we should do as a team, but I don't have bandwidth right now to do it. Anyone interested in doing some customer journey maps? Anyone know what customer journey maps are?
I think so. Who did them last time? I've done customer journey maps with Rainus before. We did that for Design Guild and for at both Bankless Academy back when it was called onboarding. And
that was a long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah. And then we had Bankless Card. I think the customer journey was done in collaboration with who was the guy who used to be on themes, and then there was a guy who was on the UI UX side and product side. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Unionist?
No, this was before Unionist joined. Yeah, like a pink PFP.
Oh, Rascal.
Guy. Rascal, that's right.
And
yes,
we can try to co-team this customer journey maps, at least a draft of it, sometime next week.
Is this something we can do as part of the communication team? Communication Weekly. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll put it into here. I'll sign it trainers for now, and we'll see where we get. Anyways, we already went a little bit over, but is there anything else that anyone's working on that's not actually? I remember now. Project communication strategy, and so I see that Coffee Crusher. You're going to work on this success criteria, or I guess it's like a go-to-market strategy. Is that right?
Yes, our overall go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, go-to-market, yeah.
Coffee, I will send you the previous one that I made some time ago.
Sweet.
Oh, right. And I'll move on to our discussion items. Let's just talk about what we shipped last week, because it's always fun. Our lawyers registered our foundation. They also shipped a draft of bylaws that need to be reviewed by the Foundation Council. Woohoo! I shipped a new playbook draft and includes the beginning of the crowdfunding steps, and as well, at least one person, Coffee Crusher, has left comments. Nice. Thank you very much for that. Winverse and Link shipped a new YouTube property, working together to get that out, and Winverse shipped the first recorded meeting. Turner recorded it. Nice. NF Thinker and Reyes continue to run the Gnosis Pay campaign. Andy's putting up some videos if you haven't seen them already. Fading Crypto shipped 2 Intro to DAO articles. Lawrence shipped some potential Twitter banners, and Hazu shipped some feedback to those banners. Lord Elvic coming through with some connects on 2 potential US-based card partners. NF Thinker posted some tweets, and NF created a LinkedIn. Oh, nice. You can add yourself to that LinkedIn if you haven't already. I think I might add myself. And then let's get down to our discussion. Anything else anyone shipped? Sorry, go ahead, NF Thinker. Oh, man, we got to change this banner immediately.
Come on, that was True Cat's banner, and it
is. It doesn't fit.
I know. It almost fit perfectly.
All right. Well,
maybe it can be adjusted. If anybody out there wants to create a banner, please let me know, and I'll swap it out.
Nice. That would be good. Okay. Now we have 20 minutes. Let's talk about the crowdfunding strategy. So, Coffee Crusher, I actually didn't look at your additional things that you added to the strategy. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I see you added it right here. Okay, awesome.
A couple things, yeah.
All right. So essentially, when we talk about Web3 crowdfunding, what we're talking about, there's lots of different ways we could do this. There are ICOs, if you've heard of those, the ICO craze of the 20s. That was an initial coin offering, and that was very similar to how a security functions. So we won't be able to do that. But there are other solutions that are emerging for this. NFT purchases are another way to do donations. We could do something like a Kickstarter, which essentially you're giving a donation in exchange for like early access to the product or something like these, or it's a deposit on the end product. Luckily, all of these require the same kind of groundwork, which is listed here, and they allow us. This means that we can work on that groundwork while we're deciding which way to go. So we'll require the following: to run a crowdfund campaign. Actually, there's quite a bit involved. We need to understand the technology that we're going to use. We want to activate our people to participate. And in Kickstarter, like let's imagine it's kind of a Kickstarter type thing. You always give rewards based upon the way that you, based upon the amount of money that you are either depositing or donating, whatever it is. So there are some additional things there. Length of time, the crowdfunding and goal amount to be identified. Yes, we absolutely need to do that. And the call to action for a crowdfunding campaign. What does it mean? What are we actually doing? Mint and NFT. There are some new products out there like Venture Club, which one of our, someone who advised us earlier, Eric Arsenault, that's one of his. And that is a, let's say a compliant way to do one of these ICOs. We also need to do, besides the campaign itself, so the campaign will be at the end of it, and we need to do all this stuff beforehand, so it's quite a iceberg of stuff to do, but even bigger is the things that we need to do before this. Prove our business makes sense, and it's not enough, I wrote down, it's not enough for us to prove it. We need to convince people that it's proven, right? So we have a playbook, but most people aren't going to read a playbook. So we need like these short, snappy assets to explain the opportunity and advantage that we have as Bankless DAO to actually release this card. These mean things like the pitch deck, the pitch videos. I see the campaign series based on what channels. Absolutely. You want your communication to be strong and regular during the campaign. I mean, you always want that, but even more so during the campaign. Coffee Crusher, what's up?
Oh, no, sorry, that was my elbow. Nothing.
I've never heard an elbow on Discord before.
Elbow on the keyboard. Shit, sorry. It's 6:42 in the morning.
Well, I appreciate you being here even so early. But yeah, I think that, so Coffee Crusher, I believe you have this campaign series. It's really important that during the campaign, we're communicating multiple times a day. And we want to have most of that content figured out before the campaign starts. I think like in my last, I was part of a crowdfund Kickstarter in the past. We had like, I think it was like a 2-week Kickstarter. And during that time, our communication team was just like constantly on the ball, answering questions immediately as they came up, posting new content 3 times a day. It was an impressive effort. So it's something that we need to understand from there. We need to also prove that we can execute. So this is important for both the crowdfunding, and even more so for private investment. I think one of the things that we have to note with crowdfunding is that we can't expect to make as much as some of these ICOs did in the 20s. Maybe we will. I mean, that would be nice if we made $17 million on a crowdfund, but I don't think that that's going to happen. We should try to aim for something like 500 to 1 million, 500,000 to 1 million US dollars. And if we hit that, then maybe we can get private investment to get us to 2 million, to hopefully the place where we will be at self-sovereignty. I don't know for sure, right? But the idea is that we're trying to make between 500 to $1 million so that we can try to use that, leverage that to get some private investment. So we really need to prove that we can execute on technology, design, and communication. So when I say the website is important, one of the first things that anyone doing diligence on a project is going to do is go to our website. If that website has bugs, if that website doesn't work on their computer, if that website is slow, they will immediately be like, these people can't execute, so I don't believe the things that they're going to say. Same with Taxman. If we are touting Taxman on our website and it is a subpar experience because it doesn't work for their country, or it doesn't work for their time frame or something like that, then they are going to as well be, or if there are bugs or anything like that, if it's hard to use, then they're going to be like, no, these people can't do what they say. So it's really important that we prove that we can execute. We also need to prove that the market exists and that we can reach them. So this is the communities and the members, this is our market, and this is our go-to market strategy, essentially. Some of the numbers that we've been putting out, 50 plus communities signed on to do what? We need to discuss that a little bit, and 10,000 value-aligned individuals signed on to the pre-launch list. For me, this is something that's really important. We're at 1,000, so we're 10% of the way there, 11% of the way there. But if we get to 10,000, that will be a much better number, because if you think about it, if we need $1 million and we get 100 people on our pre-launch list, then each one's going to need to put in 10,000. No, that's not even enough. 10,000, 100. Yeah, no. So that's enough for that. Each person is going to need to put in 10,000. So if we have 10,000 people, then we need an average of $100 that they input. So that's the difference between the kind of participation that you get. And honestly, we have 10,000 people on our email list. Probably only 1,000 of them are going to actively engage. So that's something to really note. And that's why we want a bigger pre-launch list. And then have a plan for the money. We really need to understand what the financials and commitments are, and as well as the additional money needed. If we are going to leverage this crowdfunding to get something else, then we will need to be extremely transparent about what we're going to do with that. So that is crowdfunding in a nutshell. I just want to stop here for a second. Well, first of all, to get a glass of water, which I will still be able to hear you while I do that. But any questions, comments on this? I think it's really important because it is going to be our strategy. So anything that you're thinking about, feel free to share it right now.
I think from my perspective, this seems like, it's like, oh my gosh. Because I know, I've been I've participated as a, donation in crowdfunding, and it's just a lot of work. I guess we really have to decide if this is the way we're going to go, that what we're trying to accomplish, it's the goals, the targets, the timeline, and then we fill in all the details. But, it feels like right now, there's a lot of things. So I'm thinking that we start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that one of the things to note is that because we know we need some upfront investment to make this work, and because we know that right now the VC market is like kind of fickle and not really bullish on crypto, like I think something like 99% less institutional money is coming into crypto than it was 2 years ago, right? So, that's quite less. And from what we know, based upon reaching out to VCs in the industry, we know that we could continue to seek out VC money, but if we do that, there's a high chance that all of this will come to naught, and it doesn't put the ball in our court. It doesn't give us, we're always depending on other people, and one of the reasons we are bankless is because we want to be free. And that's why we said we were going to act like we're going to move towards crowdfunding, and then hopefully if we have some opportunistic VC money that comes in and that says, hey, you guys are doing some good stuff, I'd like to invest in you and do a seed round with you or something like that. The idea is not to close off some of that institutional money. The idea is to give ourselves some direction. And so in the worst case, where we don't have any kind of prospects for institutional money, we can still go to the community. And all of those things that we need to do a crowdfund are the same things that we need to do to get institutional money. Prove that we can execute, show that we have a market and that we can reach them, have a plan for that money. All of these things are the things that we need. And luckily, are the things that we've been working on. So really what we're doing is when we say we're going for a crowdfund, we are forcing ourselves to take all of the assets that we've done and polish them up to the point where they'll be attractive to people outside the team.
Here. Yeah. The more polished we are, the better looking everything is, the more attractive it's going to be to contributors and to investors. So yeah, definitely agree with everything you've said right there. Yeah, and I mean, in terms of product, I think the more we start to form a solid idea of what exactly we're delivering, then our product is we from where we've started, we've come a long way, and we still have a long ways to go. But you were talking about how do we make our product easier to use, and obviously, Tom, you have a bunch of testing that needs to be done as well. And it feels like the more people who come around and get involved, the more we head in the right direction of getting something that's easy to use. And it's also not designed by committee either. I think that's also important to remember. There are some people who kind of implement things, but everything's also open for a vote. So no, it's interesting building in this DAO ecosystem and trying to keep everything pushing forward. But yeah, you do a good job of that, Lynx.
Thanks, Anna Thinker. Coffee question. Do you have something else to say?
Yeah, I was just thinking back to what you were saying of kind of like what we need to do is like, so what is it that potential roadblocks or things that we sort of have to, I want to say, fix first. Like you were talking about the UI and making sure that it works perfectly on the website and all that, but is there some things like almost like a product roadmap? Is there some things that we have to get, like if we have to get to this stage first before we can even start? I mean, we can start building out the campaign and defining everything, right? Like what we're going to do and timeline and goals and all that. But is there certain things that those measurements of success that we have to get done before we can officially start?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm talking about some of these top level metrics as well. I think it's really important for us to have like an easy way to communicate what needs to be done throughout the team. So for instance, if we want to make sure that our technology is good and useful and all that kind of stuff, then the number of people using our technology on a monthly basis might be useful, right? Because it shows that we have technology that is useful, that people are using, and we are communicating to people to get these new users. It shows that we have, like, at a small scale, the ability to ship a product that is useful. And that is something that we need to show. So, like, I wouldn't want to launch a crowdfund without fixing up the website bugs, without understanding our funnels on Taxman a little bit more. I wouldn't want to do that. Does that make sense?
You said you wouldn't want to do that, or you would want to do that?
I would not want to launch a crowdfund without fixing our externally facing product assets.
Yeah, I agree, because it's like the first impressions.
Exactly. Another thing is, like, I would not want to launch a crowdfund without a bunch of communities who were committed to donating in that crowdfund, right? For some kind of benefit. I think that is really important, especially because communities are ultimately, they're a core part of our go-to-market strategy. And if we're only focused on our individuals, then we aren't really nailing that value, right? We aren't really proving that value.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the communities, like, and you're talking about BDAO and others like Maker and all that, is that sort of getting them to, basically getting them to participate in this crowdfunding or supporting it, or we can market that they're supporting it, or, part of the, I think that's going to be important because it shows validation.
Exactly. And I think that, like, another thing that's different from a regular crowdfund and what we're proposing to do is that there are individuals and communities, and in regular crowdfunds, you don't have that. You just have individuals. And these communities typically have governance cycles with long response time. So actually, it might be better for us to, like, go through some of the governance processes, get some of these like funds, and then be able to say, like, hey, Human DAO is signed up and they granted us 5,000 USDC. And so like, that's part of our ticker, right? Like that says like already these are, Bankless DAO and DAO punks have already given to the cause, right? Like we should be, they should be part of this, right? Like that should be something that we're tracking and showing publicly, because this is the kind of momentum that we need to move forward.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like those kind of announcements should go when we first launch the crowdfunding campaign. Because you don't want to, you can do it shortly afterwards, but I think it helps a little bit to have at least a couple that said they're willing to donate, or they have donated X amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they should hopefully be, and this is something we need to talk about, what are they signing up for? What are they getting for that, right? Like, and this is something we don't have, but like understanding like what they're getting in return for that funding, probably exclusive rights to something. Maybe they have a launch list. Maybe they are included in governance in a unique way. I think that's really important for us to understand that as well. Yeah, so I do think that the implications are important. I'm not sure. I like to encode those implications as top-level metrics because ultimately they're easy to share with each other. Even if they aren't super accurate, those top-level metrics, we still want something to align the team around that's easy to calculate and disperse amongst our asynchronous team. And metrics are I think, a good way to do that. That's why I'm looking at it in that scale. I mean, the percent completion of crowdfund launch, I think maybe we're a little bit early for this, right? Because we don't have some of these things that we talked about, right? But community signed on, pre-launch emails, people using our tech, this is something that we could concentrate on for the next couple months and try to get those numbers going. And then in the meantime, understand, like do the groundwork we need to do to understand this crowdfund, what form this is going to take, what is the work involved with it. And then the next season we can be like, okay, this season is crowdfund season. We are working as a team to launch this crowdfund campaign. The date is this, and we are going to work backwards from there and figure it out. So I kind of feel like this percent completion of crowdfund launch is a bit early because we don't have all the information we need. But I do think that these other things are interesting. I haven't heard from you, Rainus. What do you think about this? You're muted, friend.
Yeah. I have never done a crowdfund, and this topic has always puzzled me on how it's possible and how other companies are successful with it. I also mentioned before that I think this is very risky because if we announce a crowdfund and we cannot complete it in a way that is successful, then it's kind of our reputation publicly is considered as a failed crowdfund project. So my opinion still remains that we have to do this very carefully. And that I don't know anything about it, so I am just listening and learning at the moment. Seems logical that we have users that use our products is a success criteria, that we have emails, people who are engaged with our content is a success criteria, and we have communities that have agreed on start becoming users once we launch. And I mean, those are the three biggest drivers of our brand. So I do agree with this, and I don't really have any other top level metrics that I would that I would add. Maybe individual investors that will want to participate in the crowdfund with bigger contributions, maybe.
that. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Individual investors, yeah. So that's something that we could think about too. Although again, I think that we're a little bit early to gather those individual investors right now because we really want to focus on our user facing assets first. But I do agree with what you're saying. It is risky, and I think that we're going to have to take a risk if we want to succeed. So if we decide that the risk is going to be to take this crowdfund, let's do all the things that we need to do upfront to de-risk as much as possible. Doing things like reaching out to those individual investors so we know that immediately when we drop this crowdfund, like 10 to 20 people are immediately going to donate to that so that we can get some momentum going early on so that number's not stuck at zero immediately.
I really do feel like so with Gnosis Pay, it's kind of an opportunity for us to develop an MVP potentially with their funding and then build a crowd that we would actually be able to target with a crowd fund if that time comes. So that's just kind of how I've been viewing this Gnosis Pay partnership. They have talked about providing us with funding. Obviously, it might not be the exact terms that we want for the original MVP that we were thinking, but it would give us a chance to push updates out on a regular basis, get an app that works with a card that works in 29 different countries, and then kind of do some actual market testing. And at that point in time, if we get to that stage where we have a functional product and regular users, crowdfunding might not even be a necessity. We could find the right investor. We could find someone who wants to take this all the way through, and
yeah, agree. I think that if we don't have to do a crowdfund, it wouldn't be a bad thing. I will mention though that a crowdfund is the closest to our ethos versus like a private investment, just because. I mean, it depends on the private investor a lot, right? It could be that we find a private investor who's very on ethos for us, right? And it just works. But a lot of private investors, especially institutional investment like VCs, they have a lot of stipulations which kind of tip the scales in their favor.
Yeah,
so like
they do. And that's obviously how you get to become a $1 billion valuation company, which not a lot of crowdsourced companies can go out and do. It's more common to see that in that whole private equity ecosystem.
And right. I don't think becoming a $1 billion value company is our goal either, right? Like that's not our goal, and then that is the goal of a VC.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about profits for them. And so, in terms of crowdfunding, maybe we need to look at it in stages and think, right, we're not going to fulfill, a huge allocation with a crowdfund right now, simply because I don't know that enough people, like when you look at a Kickstarter and you see a cool product that you want to buy, in 6 months or a year or 18 months, hopefully you'll have that product as long as you're not ordering the world's coolest cooler, because apparently those never arrived. But you see a product and it's a tangible asset that you can invest your money into. Whereas with Bankless Card, there's no real drive for mass adoption for people to donate to what we're actually doing. Web3 crowd is strong, and we could tap into the right market, but it's kind of a big if, right?
It's a big if that we need to understand before we launch a crowdfund.
What did you say?
It's a big if that we want to understand before we do a crowdfund, right? Like before we even announce or anything like that. We want to understand how successful we could be.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Right? Yeah. Very true. And so looking into it, that's the only way we're gonna find it. You're right. It does play into our ethos a lot better than a VC fund. So, yeah. All right. Well, sorry, I know we're gone way over here, so I don't want to take up any more time.
We are a bit over, and we're going to be continuing to discuss this over the weeks ahead, right? Like this idea, we built in public, right? So this conversation is going to be on YouTube later today, right? So it's like, yes, I guess like people can know we're doing a crowdfund, but like, ultimately this is something that we're discussing internally on our team. If people want to pull that thread, they can. But hopefully, if someone's pulling that thread, they're gonna come join us. Ultimately, the idea that we're moving towards a crowdfund is a way to direct ourselves internally. It is a way to give ourselves some direction so that we know what to work on next. It is like, I think like the most demoralizing thing is when you don't know what to do next. I think that is really demoralizing for me. So like ultimately, that's why we were saying like crowdfund is actually like a really good, it's a really good goal for us right now, because whether or not it succeeds, we kind of have our answer, right? And ultimately, I think that that's really important for us as well, because, if this isn't going to work, I mean, I think it's going to work. But if this isn't going to work, it's better for us to know sooner rather than later, or at least have some sort of date where we might know, so that we're not like putting our efforts in vain. Now, ultimately, I do think that this is going to work. I think that all the work that we're going to be putting into trying to direct ourselves is going to make us better as a team, and having that strong direction is going to help all of us put in the effort that needs to get done to be successful. Anyways, I know that we're quite a bit over, so we should call it there, but we will be talking about it as we move on. Okay, so don't feel like this is the only opportunity. Think about it. Think about how you want this to work. Think about how you can improve your own skill set in doing this. I always say this when I started a new startup to the people who I'm mentoring. I say startups are inherently risky. You don't know what's going to happen. They could succeed, they could fail. So to ensure that you're getting something out of this that you can take away, make sure that whatever you're doing, you're improving as a person. Whatever it is, just make sure that you are improving as a person, so that even if we fail at this startup, you still succeed as an individual. We still succeed as a team because we built ourselves up through this process. In that way, you can make failure successes. Okay, so let's leave it at that for now because we're over. But I just want to say thank you to everyone. I really appreciate all the effort you're putting in. I really appreciate how honest and open you're being, and I really appreciate that we have this shared dream that we're working together to push forward. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you very much, Lynx. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you, Lynx. Yep.